Welcome, everyone. We're back at the Midnight Matinee with our second movie in the 31 Days of Halloween. And this movie is The Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
We thought it would be good because, The Exorcist got the Hell's Bells in our last episode. And
yeah, it's a sequel.
You think sequel, you got Linda Blair's coming back.
Right.
You think, oh yeah, this is good. It's got...
Right.
It'll be amazing.
This is in 77, so they had four solid years of improvements in camera technology, and they had a bigger budget, and all this stuff was going to be so much better. And no, it was not. It was not better. It was terrible.
Awful.
Terrible.
Its 70s were showing. I mean, it was so...
I don't know what this director was going for with this movie, because it is... lots of glass buildings and chrome and weird angles and bright color, and there's a tap dance number, and I just don't. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start. And then the drama with the cardinal and the father who's trying to. So basically, the premise of this one is that the church is trying to posthumously condemn the father that was killed in the first one.
Marin.
Yeah, Father Marin. They're trying to say that he was into necromancy and all kinds of shady stuff. So they want to excommunicate him posthumously. So this guy was his friend, and he wants to try to prove that this was legit. So that's where we enter into this. And this is a weird movie because, like, they're all really big name actors in it. This is a big name director, and they had a really big budget.
Yep.
And for some reason, this movie is just terrible.
Yeah, they had a $14 million production budget, which for that time was pretty big.
Yeah. It was awful. And there's a part where, like, the priest in this one travels to Africa for some reason to try to find the locust guy, and
he was looking for that boy, the
Kokumo, right? He's trying to find there's a tribe in Africa that's also doing exorcisms, but they thought the most convenient way to perform the exorcism was to do it on top of an inaccessible mountain that you have to climb like Batman in the 1960s. Yeah, it's like the most foolish thing. Like, what? You can't build a shack on the ground? Why do we have to be on top of a mountain? And then when he climbs up the mountain to meet this guy, there's an entire structure with lights up on top of this inaccessible mountain that you have to shimmy up a crack in a fissure to get up to the top of it. But there's power up there, and they have a whole community of people living on top of this exorcism mountain in Africa.
The whole thing was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like biofeedback and like all those cutting edge fringe psychological science things that they came out with,
Well, and the worst part, if you take a step back and look at the actual story of The Exorcist 2, Regan was happy. She's the daughter of a well-to-do actress who has a trust fund, and she's just living her best life. And her snotty psychiatrist decides she's going to do this mind melding thing.
Well, she thought that Regan was Regan couldn't remember anything of what happened at the house with the Exorcist, and so it was all she thinks all of her memories are like repressed. So
she shouldn't.
She goes and taps into that, and it's like
it was all awful stuff, and she couldn't remember it. So leave it alone. Like,
why pull the Band-Aid off?
What sense does that make? Like, well, she's got repressed memories. Like, good, they're bad memories. You should repress them. Press them all the way down.
Squish them down.
Right, it's so stupid. And so she comes up with this elaborate Rube Goldberg device where you have to, like, wire your brains together and look at these flashy tones so that you could sync your minds up, and then the other person could see into your thoughts. And I'm like, bro, none of this is this isn't an Exorcist movie. This is sci-fi. We don't need it.
Like that part where she was spinning up there on the top of the building, and I'm like, oh my God, she's going to fall from that skyscraper.
And and like the roof of the skyscraper has like chrome pigeon houses, and they're like, she takes care of them, and there's no rail. On the one side, it has like a plexiglass like window rail. On the other side, it has nothing.
Was that
like,
freaking you out? Like you're ready to go like, oh.
What are we doing? And like the institute where the doctor works at it's a room that has no walls. It's all glass.
Yeah, like glass.
You can see
cubicles.
into.
Yeah.
So like if you're having a therapy session and you're in there talking about your darkest, moments of your life, there's some idiot in the room next to you looking right at you. You're just like, hi. Yeah, I did all that bad stuff. I'm sitting here talking about it in our attorney-client privilege of the psychiatrist's office while 70 people are all looking at me. No, that's just dumb. Nobody's going to have a psychiatrist office where you have glass walls. It's just stupid. It's just layers of dumb in this movie. And I get it. They wanted to make it look edgy and futuristic and all that. But you look at like The Nun or one of the Conjuring movies. Do they have any chrome spaceships and lasers and no. It's dark, it's foreboding, it's a castle in the middle of Turkey or something. Like that's what these movies need. They need darkness, they need crazy contact lenses, you need a cold room so you can see your breath. Like that's what you need.
Well, the whole plot was very muddied in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like there was no I'm like half the time I'm like, what are we doing here? Like if you're not paying exactly attention, you're like, what the heck is going on?
You could walk out of this movie to go get a soda and come back and think you were watching a different movie at some points in this. You're like...
Well, they're bouncing all over the place.
Well, yeah, like what are we doing? We're in Latin America now? Like there's some kind of exorcism going on and they burn the building down and you're like, what? Reagan. Remember Reagan? That's what this story's about. Knock it off with all this. We don't care. Like, we want to see the little girl vomiting pea soup onto people. We don't care about...
seeing her dance in a
Santeria rituals. Yeah, climbing up a mountain. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, who wrote this? Like, when this came out, I was like 8. Like, not even, I was, 5 when this came out. 4 or 5. I could have wrote a better movie than this. They could ask my 5-year-old self to give me a Crayola and a piece of paper. I could have wrote you a better movie than this one.
Well, I love the fact that the director of the original, William Friedkin, later said that this sequel diminished the value of the original and called it the worst piece of crap I've ever seen. And then he also said it was a freaking disgrace.
Right.
He even said the film was made by a demented mind.
Right.
I mean, if that tells you anything.
Well, they had to trick Linda Blair into being in this one because she wouldn't do it. She's like, I read the script, it's junk. So they were like, well, we're going to change it, and then, you'll sign on. So then her publicist sent her a contract, and then she signed on to the picture, and then they completely rewrote the script.
Well, didn't she also say that Linda Blair had a thing where she refused to put that makeup back on?
Yeah, that's another one of her writers in Linda Blair's contracts forever, is that she won't put that latex applique of the possession makeup on. She won't wear it ever again. So they had to hire another actress to play her parts in the flashback scenes anyway, because they were made from different theater motion picture company, so they couldn't use the footage from the first one and the second one or something like that. So that's why they had to reshoot all of her scenes, and it just doesn't work. I think that if I was an executive at Warner Brothers and they pitched me The Exorcist 2, I would have went to William Friedkin and been like, what do you think of this? Right?
How much will it cost for you to come back?
I want you to make a sequel to this because the first one made a bunch of money and we want to do it. We want to milk that for all it's worth. And he was like, no, I'm not doing it. Well, then take that script and throw it in the garbage and go on to something else. You know what I mean? Like, you could have made, like Alan Quartermain, you could have done like one of those stories with this same script. He's like an adventurer. He's trying to find the Kokumo dragonfly statue or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it would have been a whole different thing and probably would have been a good movie.
I was going to say, I couldn't get to how they were trying to connect all of that.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I think that they had, what's his name, Darth Vader, that guy.
Oh, why am I drawing a blank on him?
I think they just wanted to have him in the movie.
Oh, you're talking about
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah. I think that they were just like, well, we got this guy. We really like him. He's kind of cool. So let's just make this about...
That's got to be one of his earliest movies,
Africa.
I think. Yeah. It was such a disaster.
It was awful. Awful. And there's like locust swarms, like this Kokomo guy.
Well, I thought they were
like
doing some kind of, the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but they don't ever talk about that.
Yeah,
Like
they don't go beyond the locust either.
Like the plague of locusts. That's what I thought we were going to talk about. And they're like, no, he studies insect traveling and grouping of insects. And you're like, well, once again, this is a demon movie, not bugs. What are we talking about? Like, why are... Here's our story. Here's the line. It's very easy, right? You walk along the tightrope, you get to your destination. These people are already 3 buildings over. They're like... honestly, if there was a scene where a bunch of clowns got out of a car in this movie, I'd have been like, yep, that's what we're doing. Like, I don't... Why is this in here? I don't know. Might as well. There's a plane crash. Why? I don't know.
Why is Iron Man in this movie?
That's what we're doing now. I have no idea. So to bring it back, it's awful. It's terrible. Terrible. I felt so bad for Reagan in this, the what's her name? Linda Blair. I felt bad for Linda Blair through all of this movie, especially in like the exposition scenes where she's like in her unbelievably fancy apartment for like a 20-year-old girl.
No, she's 16 in the movie.
So for a 16-year-old girl to have her own penthouse on the top of a building.
Well, she had a babysitter. Well, the original, was it Ellen Burstyn? She refused to come back.
Yeah, she refused to be in this movie. She's like, no thanks.
So they had to have her babysitter.
Yeah, or what do they call that?
Nanny.
Governess. Yeah. So she had to have her, she lives with her governess
Au pair.
in her mansion on a penthouse on top of a building in downtown New York because she's 16. So yeah, that's legit. But she has, there's a lot of this, like, I'm into art, I want to go do stuff and ride horses or something, and you're just like, I'm sure there's a story in here. You could, if we could get back to it in under 2 hours, that'd be fantastic.
Like I said, it has good bones. It just couldn't do it.
I don't know what there's any. You could pick 10 things about this movie that could be easily cut out, and it wouldn't hurt the storyline at all. And that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
Like the little flashy brain melding device, you could cut all of that footage out, and the movie still would be just as bad, but it would be shorter, which would be awesome.
Can I get that time back?
Right. This, like,
well, it was one of those things too, and I was like, I didn't have it. I've never seen it before, and it was $3.99 to rent or $4.99 to buy, and I'm like, oh, well, it's an Exorcist movie,
Right.
I'll go ahead and buy it. I paid the $4.99.
I've seen The Exorcist.
I feel like moaning.
Like, I can't even imagine. At least 100 times. I've seen this movie twice in my entire life. That's how bad it is.
Well, I don't even think I will go for twice.
I will watch bad movies, but I won't watch this a third time. So that glowing reveal brings us to our rating system.
Now we have a 1 to 5, and we'll put it up on screen so you can kind of see the different things.
Right here.
Here we do like. So what are you thinking? I thought it had good bones.
Yeah.
But it just failed to deliver.
That's how I feel about it too. Like, if you, with this cast and these sets, that's probably as good as you're going to get. You know what I mean? If you threw this script out, completely rewrote it, had a different sort of story for Reagan, like she wasn't just a happy-go-lucky, plucky child, and they're trying to regress her memories for no reason at all, other than to just ruin her life. Like, in the sequel, she's actually living in a home for troubled kids. She's tormented by nightmares, like she can't sleep, and she can't function in,
right. in reality.
Yeah,
that would have been an interesting concept, right?
That's what needs to happen in this story. So then she's going to the psychiatrist because she has mental illness.
Yes.
Whereas in this movie, she's going to the psychiatrist to waste her mom's money.
Yeah.
Because she's happy and well-adjusted and living a perfect life.
Well, and then was that whole thing with the autistic kid that never...
Yeah, like she used the mind meld device to talk to some autistic girl who could then speak, and then you're like, oh, we're going to do this. Nope, no, we're not. The mom just grabs the kid and poof, pumps away, and you never hear about it again, ever, in this movie. She's like, oh, she can speak. I'm going to go show her father. And then just walk off. You're like, well, that was...
Well, I think it had to go with the fact that I think they thought that Reagan would be able to read, that she had telepathic abilities. I think that was what they were trying to allude to, but it really just...
Her connection to the spirit world or whatever, but it didn't work. And it's just... like I'm saying, that's what needs to happen in this movie, is that there needs to be the same tone as the first one, right? Where it's foreboding, it's dark, you don't really know what's going on, you're not a part of that world, so it kind of, you're like an outsider looking in, and then it brings you face to face with the reality of it, you know? Like, that's what needs to happen in this one, whereas in this one you kind of feel like you're in the sidecar. You're just like along for the ride, and like all this crazy stuff happens and they never explain why, and it's just...
And they end up all going back to the house in Georgetown.
Yeah.
And
which is falling in on itself now.
And it's just...
In 3 years...
The whole thing outside and inside was just nuts, and...
It's... So that's what you say. You're going to give it a 2.
I think that it could be close to 1, but I think because it had good bones, it had a good cast, it had the potential. And so we're going to give it the Graveyard Grind.
2 stars. That's what I agree. That's how I feel too. Our thing is, it's a slow creeping death. There's some potential, but it's buried under the weight of missed opportunities.
And this one is
and that should be the tagline for this movie.
I mean, you think about, they had a budget of I don't see where they say it has a budget, but
30. No, it made 30 million, but it
had
cost
a 14 million production budget.
Right, in 77 though.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of doll hairs.
Yeah, that's just a shade under like Star Wars' production budget.
Yeah.
So, you know,
so
standard.
We're in agreement. It's a Graveyard Grind.
Yep. It was not. It's not good. And it, like you say, it has good bones. They could have built on it. It could have been a really good story if somebody with a little bit of common sense had stepped in and been like, nah, pigeons, nope, no pigeons. What about this brain device? No brain device, bro, none of that.
No. It was a heretic to watch it.
Yeah, it was bad.
There's actually a movie called Heretic that's out, or it's either out or it's coming.
It's in theaters right now.
Yeah.
That looks really good.
Yeah, that looks really good. I was just thinking about that. I was looking the other day to see if there were any new movies coming out, and boy...
There's a drought right now.
It's a drought. There was a lot of horror films that released in the last year or two, and it's like I was looking going, there's nothing coming.
I kind of feel like there was I don't know, I'm going to say like a reckoning with Hollywood, where they were just putting out stinkers one after the other, and no one was going to theaters, and they kind of took a step back. Excuse me. They were like, we need to regroup because we've been pushing this crazy agenda for too long, and now people are starting to get tired of it.
Well, and even going to the theater anymore. I mean, I go once in a while if I'm bored on a Sunday afternoon. I'll go over and catch a matinee or whatever, but.
Yeah, it takes
half the time it's just me and maybe a couple of other people in the movie theater.
Right, nobody wants to sit through that anymore.
Yeah,
you don't need a lecture.
I mean, now you get you got Prime and Netflix and all of them who are releasing amazing shows. Like
like people I know, they're like, well, you don't want to go to the theater and see it on the big screen. Like, bro, I have 65-inch television.
Yeah.
Like, I have the big screen in my living room.
We can pause it if we need to use the restroom to get snacks.
We sit 4 feet away from a 65-inch television.
With like the surround.
Right. Like, I don't need to go to the theater to have the big screen. I have the big screen right in front of me.
Yep.
And I don't have to deal with some weird dude's cologne laughing at the wrong parts of the movie.
Speaking of Netflix, we just finished watching this one, Korean one called Hellbound, which was... kind of all over the place and crazy, and all these twists and turns.
I really liked it, but I felt like the Hellbound. I felt like if you could have made a movie out of that same story, you know what I mean? Like 2 hours, 2 hour movie, and then and been done with it. That it would have been perfect for that. But instead, it's 2 seasons on Netflix.
Yeah, and it's jumping around in terms of like the timeline, and then I had to laugh because he goes, they changed that actor from season 1 to season 2, and I go, I didn't even notice.
They replaced the chairman actor, like one of the main characters of the show. And I was like, for me, it was weird because the guy who played it in the first season was short and kind of a, like, smallish man. And the guy in the second season is tall and broad-shouldered. And I'm like, could you at least find a guy who is like... He's a fantastic actor, don't get me wrong. The guy in the second season was a great actor. But he doesn't look like the guy in the first season, you know?
The first guy was kind of meeky looking.
Yeah, he was a smaller...
Steal my lunch money kind of guy. Yeah. But then, what else have we been watching? We watched, on Prime, we've been watching The Devil's Hour.
Yeah.
We watched the first season a little while back, and it's one of those twists and turns.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of, like, The Dark.
Yeah, The Dark, the German show.
Yeah, The Black Rain or whatever, like that kind of, like, different timelines kind of thing that it's just...
Yeah, there's like your alternate dimensions, which it seems to be a big thing. There's a lot of parallel dimensions and crossing.
And this one, the guy, when he dies, he just goes back to his childhood and is reborn again. And he's trying to help other people in this timeline achieve happiness or something. But he ends up being like a serial killer, almost.
Every time you make one step, he like tries to change something.
Yeah. And it messes up 10 other things. And
it's like
trying to
domino.
Yeah. So it's really good. It's a psychological thing, and it's the British police. So as an American,
when he brought out that billy club.
As an American, you're like, oh, this guy is going to attack the policeman. That's it for him. And you're like, oh no, wait, it's Britain. They don't have any guns or anything. They just have a pad and paper. So this is going to be a fist fight for certain.
I like the cast though. I like the people in it, and it's got a good cast.
The lady who is the main actress in it has to play like 4 different versions of herself.
Yeah.
In this, and she nails it. She is so good at it because she's like a meek housewife. She's a police detective.
Another autistic kid.
Yeah. So I mean, she even like carries herself differently as the different versions of herself. It's good, really good.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know if anybody saw my short, but I watched this interesting film. I like movies that kind of keep you guessing, like a psychological kind of dark thriller kind of thing. Cannot speak. It was called The Other Side of the Door, which was really cool. It had a mom who, her 2 kids. She lost one of her child. I don't want to give away and do any spoilers, but one of the children has passed away. She feels guilty for having what happened, and she has like a governess too in her thing, or maybe like a housekeeper. I don't know. She kind of watches over the other child, and basically told her where she could go into this temple out in the middle of the woods. They live in India, I think it is, and she goes out there, and the lady gave her very explicit directions. Don't open the door. And of course, she did. And then it unleashes a whole heck of a lot of craziness. But
all right. So maybe we'll do a review of that one after we're done with the 31 Days of Halloween. Yeah. So some of the upcoming...
We're only on day 2.
We're not going to do every single day as a video, right? Because we'll do like the Conjuring videos. And
as a clump.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense to just do one video. We may do like the Warrens, the Conjuring in one thing. But I don't know if like does the Nun really need its own thing, and Annabelle?
I mean, they all kind of cross together.
Yeah, they're
all tied together by the Warrens, except for the one who has the priest from the other one. But the La
The
Llorona.
Curse of La Llorona.
La Llorona.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a part of it, and the only thing they had was the priest in it. The rest of
Yeah.
it did not, in any way, shape, or form, did not fit into that timeline.
The connection of La Llorona to the Conjuring verse is that the priest in the Annabelle movie is also in La Llorona. So it doesn't... It's not in the timeline of that, but that's the connection to it. So that's why it's a part of the Conjuring verse.
Anyway, so we should bring this back around. We have a tendency to go into those rabbit holes and alternate
Talk about
dimensions.
scary movies, man. We love the scary movies.
So, yeah, if you ever want, like we said, if there's something you think we should watch,
Yep.
let us know. I mean, like I said, we've seen a lot, so we may have already seen it, but yeah, throw something out there. We'd love to know.
Hit the Veritas Project, the real Veritas Project at gmail.com, and give us all your suggestions or put it in the comments. Comment below. Click like. Like this video. Share it to your friends. Share it to your enemies.
Because we're not going to mince words. We're going to tell you if it's a stinker or if it's going to be really good.
If it was bad, we're going to tell you it was bad.
And he watches some that even I'm like, how come we're watching this?
Yeah. Well, when we had our subscription to Shudder, I felt bad that there's like literally nothing on there to watch. So I started watching, like, they have like foundations of horror. They have like subsections, and I just went through and started watching all of it. And there are some movies in there you're like, I would have just taken that tape and thrown it in the garbage. They're so bad. But it's on Shudder. I don't know why.
Yeah, I would have thought with it being on Shudder that there would be a ton of good movies. Because I think it's like a subset of AMC or something.
It is now, yeah. AMC bought out Shudder, so now everything that's on Shudder is also on AMC Plus. So,
but
yeah,
don't get us into that Shudder thing.
I'm going to sign up for it again because they sent me an email saying I can get like a year for $18. So you got to do it.
He had Mexican for dinner.
Yeah, I got gas.
He had a burrito. I'll have to have him show the pita. His burrito was probably as big as my forearm.
It wasn't even a burrito. It was a chimichanga.
Yeah, it was a chimichanga. But it was like...
I ordered chimichanga because I thought chimichanga's like that big. No, this thing is like this big.
It was like my forearm.
It was ridiculous. But I'm such a dummy. I can't leave it. I can't take home. I got the starving kids in Africa. I can't. So I had to eat it.
I got two the rancher's cut.
Yeah, right. That's a story for another day.
Yes. Well.
So here's our second video.
We thanks for watching, and like, share, and
ring the bell. Do all the things. You know all the things. Like, share it, comment below. Tell us what we should watch when we're done with the 31 Days of Halloween, or if you want us to watch something that you really liked and you want our opinion on it. Seeing as how we're horror movie connoisseurs, maybe you could give us a suggestion and we'll come out with with our review of it. So,
and we'll see you next time for the Midnight Matinee.
Yeah.
Gotta have like a deep growly voice.
Right. We don't have a tagline yet.
Somebody said I sound like Marge Simpson.
Marge.
Oh, here you are now. Bye.
Bye-bye.